Spit bars, I stand behind mine. Yeah. Sentences I serve, maximize guidelines. My lawyer can't give me his advice when he's beasts that I murder carry mandatory minimums of life. Yikes. In case you didn't get the point, we spit bars.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Maximum Sentence, where there's conviction behind the bars. I'm your man, AJ Throwback. Great to be here with you on another awesome Wednesday where we are breaking down a brand new song this week and for the next 4 weeks after this. None other than my latest single, Youlanda Remorse, produced by Gladiator, co-produced by yours truly, is out right now. If you don't have it, hey, make sure that you go to my website, BAMMLLC.net. Once again, that's BAMMLLC.net. I'll give details again later as to how to get the single if you don't already have it. But before we go any further, if this is your first time watching any of my content, please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that bell notification so that when I go live or when I premiere a new video, you'll know. You'll be one of the first ones to know. Got that out the way. So I'm going to start off with the comment from none other than the homie Marchello Bradley of What's Up With You Again. If you're not already subscribed to Marcello's channel, What's Up With You, please make sure that y'all do that. I'll put some information so y'all can be able to do that. But anyway, his comment, he says, AJ Throwback for president. Look, big homie, we ain't hearing all that. I'm not trying to be in the spotlight. People need you out here. But seriously, once again, it's a pleasure to hear you break down the meaning of those bars. The politicking ain't nothing but classy pimping is my favorite line in the whole song. It sums up my views on politics. We all out here arguing over who has the best pimp. As far as Marion Barry goes, his life story, what I know of it, reminds me of Moses, an imperfect man who did right by the people he cared about most. If you think about it, that's most of. Most of us have the benefit of keeping our flaws in the dark though. Either way, another great breakdown, my man. Salute. Appreciate you as always for these just thoughtful comments that you put up. I look forward to seeing your comments all the time, my brother. And I've already responded to Marchello, so if you want to see what my response is to him and what he said, please make sure that you go to my last video, episode 5, where I broke down part of the third verse of the Lincoln and Lincoln Job Fair. So once again, thank you, my brother, for that excellent comment. All right, so the next comment comes from one of my brothers, none other than Witz. This brother, I mean, he's an incredible artist. Make sure that y'all check him out. That's T.Witz. You can find his music on all digital streaming platforms, and you can find him on YouTube as well. His comment actually has to do with my new single, Youlanda Remorse. So he says, this one was quite a journey. You really letting it all out. I had no idea you had this much to say, bro. The organization of lyrics, the passionate delivery. This is one of those moments you sit back and realize you know so little about those you call friends, LOL. Good stuff, my guy. Hashtag purchasing. And I want to make sure that I add this tidbit in there as well about T.Witz. On Instagram, he put a comment saying he had been bumping it since 7 a.m. that morning. And I think it might have been like 11 a.m. or something like that by the time I saw that comment, or maybe even a little bit later in the day. But that's dedication. I truly appreciate the comment. I appreciate the financial support. And yes, this is, as I've been saying to a lot of people, this is one of my most personal songs to date. Out of all the songs that I've released, in terms of the commercial space, maybe on the mixtapes, I might have had a couple of personal songs, but I think this is definitely the most personal song I've put out to date. So I had to give the story. I had to lay it out the way that I did. I had to make sure that everything was organized. And interestingly enough, this was the second writing of Youlanda Remorse. The first one sounded different than this one. On my old iPhone, I had this thing, I forget what I think it was like 16 bars or something like that. It was an app where the problem with the app, when you switch phones, the data from the old phone doesn't go over with the new phone. So I had 6 songs that I wrote for this album. Youlanda Remorse was one of them. And that was one of the songs that I had to write all over again. I lost all the lyrics. I couldn't remember most of the lyrics. And so I had to write them over again. And it was, I ain't gonna lie, it was a struggle, but I got there. And to be honest, it's even better than the original Loner's Remorse. And I want to make sure, I know she probably won't see this, but I want to make sure I shout out my sis, Marion Swingler. She told me when I had a conversation with her about it, she told me, you are worried about these songs that you lost. God is going to make sure that you write them even better the next time around. She was right for 5 out of 6 of those songs. Then the one song that I just couldn't really get the way that I had it before is not even a part of the album. So the other 5 are going to be a part of this project. So that song means even more to me than just the message itself. I had to really get in a place to write that song in an even better way than I wrote it the first time around. Just a little extra tidbit there. Another comment that I want to make sure that I read is from another one of my homies, a brother that I was actually hoping would tap in with a comment and be able to relate to this song. None other than the homie MC Brooks, another dope artist. Please make sure y'all check out his music. I believe he still has music on digital streaming platforms as well. And I believe he has a Bandcamp page. I believe it's mcbrooks.bandcamp.com. So his comment, he said, "This joint is fire and very relatable as a fellow introvert." Good shit, bro. And that was the key for me. I know that there are a lot of introverts out here, especially artists who are introverts. We have a different kind of way of navigating through the world than, say, like your average introvert, because being an artist, you're forced to be in the public eye more than you probably want to be. One of the first people I think about that's an introvert that people may or may not realize is one, but it's kind of obvious if you kind of look at his mannerisms, is Jay-Z. Jay-Z's a huge introvert. First and foremost, this man can't act his way out of paper bag. That's just not his ministry. So he just doesn't have certain pizzazz when it comes to that. He had to be the type of person who had to develop his stage presence. And I'm sure a lot of that comes from, okay, I can deal with people, but too much peopling after a while drains me. And that's the key thing with an introvert. It's not always that we don't like people, it's that peopling can be very draining. And so, and sometimes it also has to do with our experiences. And that's what we're going to be getting into over the next few weeks, about the significance of a song like Loner's Remorse when it comes to somebody who's an introvert, and having a greater understanding of how we think, how we move, and what maybe shapes us and guides us in the direction of becoming an introvert. Or, you know, some people might think you're born one, you become one, whatever it might be, or you're born one, you could be leaning in another direction, or you lean a little bit harder in that direction. Either way, it's a process with understanding how we think as introverts, just like it's a process with understanding extroverts. I have a different understanding of extroverts as well from my experiences through life. But I definitely appreciate that comment, bro. And I'm glad the song resonated with you. That's what I'm hoping for a lot of people out there who identify as introverts. Now, I want to get to this series of questions that my sis, my twin, as we call each other, Youlanda Barber, that she sent me actually through a messenger. And so she asks, can you talk about how you come up with beats for songs? Do the lyrics come first, or does the music come first? How do you know this beat goes with this music and vice versa? Great question. Great series of questions. So in terms of how I come up with beats for songs, it's really just driven off of feeling. It's hard to explain, but when I have a concept, because I'm very concept driven with songs that I come up with the concept first. Start there. Then I think about, okay, how does this concept make me feel? Certain tones, certain drums give me different types of feelings. Even the way, even down to the keys, like the key that I'll play a song in. There's certain keys, it's weird, but like there's certain keys I hear that I think 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I gotta play in this key. 7 p.m. in the evening, I gotta play in this key. 9 o'clock at night, I gotta play in this key. It's cloudy outside, I gotta play in this key. It's really just to say it's mood driven when it comes to how I come up with the beats, or in this case, how I add to a beat. Because my homie Gladiator, he's the one who actually did the drums and one part of the melody in the song. I did the majority of the rest of the melody, and I had to kind of match the energy that was already there, and then think about the concept of the song. The concept of the song is introversion. So a lot of that is self-reflection, is going within yourself, it's detaching from people, and so it's a lonely kind of feeling, but also a very introspective kind of feeling. So that explains the tones in a song like that. In terms of what comes first, the lyrics or the music, for me, because I'm a producer, I have that advantage. I know what rhythm I want to rap at. So even if I don't have the actual music made already, usually what I do is like I'll beatbox something on my voice memo on my phone, and I'll already have a rhythm, and I keep replaying that rhythm in my head. And as I'm writing, I'm imagining myself writing R-I-D-I-N-G versus W-R-I-T-I-N-G, but doing both to that particular rhythm, because for me it's all about how you ride the rhythm. You could write crazy bars, but if you're not riding that beat, you're not doing it a great service. But more often than not, I like to have the beat already made so I can write a little bit more effectively to it, right to the particular details in the beat that you might not hear, and like how I play off of certain melodies, or how I play off of a snare, or how I play off of a hi-hat, or how I play off the congas, whatever it might be. I'm playing off of certain things in the beat and in the melody, and allowing the beat to tell me what to do versus vice versa. I feel like when you allow the music to dictate to you how the song should be written, you become a more efficient and more effective MC, lyricist, artist, period. It doesn't even have to be a thing about rap or hip hop, just music in general. Let the music tell you what to do first, and then follow suit. To answer the question, how do you know this beat goes with this music and vice versa? For me, again, it's feeling, because sometimes like I'll listen to certain tones, or I'll listen to certain sounds, and I'm like, okay, this sound is too hard for this beat, or this sound is too soft for this beat. Because it's like, if I got some hard drums, I'm not gonna come like the main melody can't be like mad weak or mad soft. You can have some soft undertones, but you gotta kind of sort of match up in certain ways. Or you can't have like a laid back chill type of song and then you got this hard sound in there, and it's like, okay, that doesn't really fit, especially depending on whatever the concept of the song is. So that's the best way that I can answer that question. I hope it answers all of your questions, and thank you so much. Great, excellent questions. And I want to encourage people to ask me more questions when it comes to this stuff, because to get in the mind of a musician, to get in the mind of an artist, I think a lot of people are interested in these things, but the questions don't come up enough, and there aren't always the platforms that allow for these questions to be asked. So thank you once again, Youlanda, for asking those questions. All right, so now we're going to get to the part where we break down. We're going to start with the first verse the first half of the first verse of my latest single, Loners Remorse.
If I had the choice of warm welcomes as the life of the party and the shadows as an introvert, I pray to God Chuck Noland come strolling with a volleyball and toes, see the shortest strand and pick it first. Picture my whole class pressed to flood my mama house for ice cream and cakes so they could chillin' on really dope. But aspirations as a Mitchell Gone sequel was a silly hope. I was so shy as a cub, thought my curse was from a billy goat.
All right, so the first part, I want to say the first 4 bars where I say, if I had the choice of warm welcomes as the life of the party and the shadows as an introvert, I pray to God Chuck Noland come strolling with a volleyball in tow, see the shortest strand and pick it first. Those lines are very significant as a setup for the song, because everybody wants to feel welcomed. Everybody wants to feel a part of something. And when you see certain people get received in a certain way, and you see them kind of be the life of the party, or they're the ones that get celebrated and elevated, but you see how people treat you depending on who you are, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, you try to do that same thing or similar and people don't receive you the same way. People kind of look at you like, well, what are you doing here? You know, like, you're not this guy or you're not this girl. Who are you? And a lot of times it makes it hard to navigate through the world and feel like I want to be around people all the time, because you see from a young age that everybody ain't for everybody. As much as you want to be liked, as much as you want to be the guy who kind of sort of, or the girl who bounces off of the energy of everybody in the room, it's not always structured that way. People aren't always receiving you in that manner. And it's a matter of, okay, do I want to be the life of the party, or am I more comfortable being off in this corner? And maybe off in this corner, I have my own little intimate party going on with just a few people over here who understand who I am, who vibe with who I am. Because sometimes being in the big spaces with all of the people and being the center of attention is cool. But the thing is, you realize as an introvert, it's tiring, because you have to do a lot of people pleasing. You have to do a lot of entertaining, and sometimes you're just not in the mindset to do it. But sometimes I wonder, how could I handle it if I were the life of the party? And if I had the choice between the two, would I still be cool with being an extrovert, or would I want to be an introvert? And then that brings in the part, I pray to God Chuck Noland come strolling with a volleyball in tow, see the shortest strand and pick it first. Chuck Noland, anybody who isn't familiar with the movie Castaway, starring Tom Hanks, actually one of my favorite movies on the low. I just love the concept of the movie. So much of being an introvert, I identify with that movie, because you really have to create a life, sometimes out of no life, sometimes out of people not really paying much attention to you, sometimes out of not being able to connect with people and feeling like you're on an island unto yourself. That's what it is a lot of times to be an introvert. You feel like you're just alone, but you're not lonely. That gets to the next couple of lines where I say, picture my whole class pressed to flood my mama's house for ice cream and cake so they could chill and know I'm really dope. That is a line that is rooted in an actual situation. I wanted to invite a bunch of kids to my birthday party. And so I told everybody in my class, like, hey, I'm having a birthday party, or I'm inviting people over to, have cake and ice cream. Why don't you come over? And I remember one of my friends, he was the one guy I was counting on to come to the party. If I couldn't count on anybody else, I was counting on him. When nobody came, let me tell you, when I say that I'm not a party person in terms of throwing parties, I'm a party person when it comes to actually going to parties and partying. I love the party. But the thing is, when it comes to throwing parties or organizing parties, I hate doing it. And one of the biggest reasons I hate doing it is because of that experience of trying to organize a party, trying to bring a bunch of people together so that we can all interact and we can get to know each other better, and nobody showed up. When I tell you that's one of the biggest fears and one of the biggest hangups being an introvert, it's that whole thing of when I tried to people didn't want to be bothered. And it makes it hard to trust that people want to be around you, because sometimes the ways in which you navigate through the world are guided by experiences that you have as a child. And that was one of those experiences that I'll never forget. It was just such a lonely feeling. I was so disappointed. I was so hurt. And I was just like, all right, well, then that leads me to the next series of lines where I say, but aspirations as the Mitchell Goins sequel was a silly hope. I was so shy as a cub, thought my curse was from a billy goat. So Mitchell Goins, the late great Mitchell Goins, may he continue to rest in power, my father. My father was very much an extrovert. Any bit of extroversion that I have is because of my father. My mother is definitely an introvert, whereas my father, he got to be the life of the party. He feeds off of people. He's the type of person, like, he could literally be on the phone for like hours and hours and hours on end, He'll in one person call somebody else. Whenever he came in the building, everybody celebrated this man. I mean, this is somebody, he was a all-star track athlete, all-star football player, all-star in softball. I mean, he was an all-around athlete, and I looked up to my dad. I wanted to be so much like my dad in that way, to be celebrated in that way, to be revered in that way. And when that wasn't happening when I was a kid, and part of the reason it wasn't happening when I was a kid, because I'll be honest, I was an awkward child. I didn't know how to strike up conversations with other kids a lot of time, because I did spend a lot of my time drawing. I'd spent a lot of time to myself leading up to those grades where it got even more awkward to make friends. And so me trying to be like my dad, it just kept failing and failing and failing. I didn't get a shred of the stardom that my dad got until I got to high school. I was a late bloomer. like in so many areas of my life. That's why this overall project is called The Late Bloomer, because so many things for me happened well after it happened for a lot of other people. And so for me to try to live in that shadow of being like my father, because I was the firstborn, so of course I'm gonna be the one that's going to be, the shadow is going to be cast on first to be like my dad. It just wasn't working. My dad was not only intelligent, but he was also an athlete. Me, I didn't get the athletic gene. That skipped me. It went to my brother, but it didn't come to me. I was just the nerd, so to say. But I was able to finagle it better once I got older and more comfortable in my own skin. And that's how it happens a lot of times in life. You have to get to that point where you're comfortable in who you are and you own who you are, And so, but I realized that I was shy. I was reserved. That's where the line, I was so shy as a cub, thought my curse was from a billy goat. That's actually a double entendre. Anybody that knows about the Chicago Cubs and their 108-year absence from winning a World Series, the curse was called the curse of the billy goat. Getting behind the bars a little bit more. Sometimes some bars I know might go over people's heads, but that's to explain that bar a little bit more. But the other side of the double entendre was being young. I was shy. I was reserved. I didn't know how to interact with other kids. I didn't know how to interact with people a lot of times, period, because it just always felt like I'm the type of person, I hate small talk. And I think I've always hated small talk, even as a child. So to have to engage in small talk with people, especially when I'm one of these type of people, I like to be funny, or I like to talk about big ideas or concepts or whatever it might be. And what I found was that I didn't find my tribe as a kid. It was hard for me to find my tribe. I didn't find my tribe until I got older. And so it was a lot of trying to figure it out and how to interact with a lot of these kids. I had a few friends, don't get me wrong, but I know that my dad and being around him was part of the reason why I had this need to feel approved. Had this need to feel like I was celebrated and elevated and I was the life of the party. But that just was not my ministry in life. And as I've gotten older, that's okay. But as a kid, it was a hard thing to really get a grip on. And that's where we're going to leave it for this particular week. So if you don't have the single, Loner's Remorse, once again, produced by Gladiator, co-produced by yours truly, you can get it on my website, BAMMLLC.net. Once again, that's BAMMLLC.net. From there, you can buy the single. If you're a streaming person, you can actually connect to your favorite streaming platform, except Spotify, because I ain't messing with Spotify. If you're black, you know exactly why I ain't messing with Spotify, but we ain't gonna get too far into that. But every other streaming platform, I'm on it. And you can also connect from there to my Bandcamp page, which is ajthrowback.bandcamp.com. If you're a Bandcamp person, you can go on there and buy the single. So whatever support you throw, whether you decide to buy it or whether you decide to stream it. But if you stream it, please do me one favor and stream it in full. Play the entire song. It's a 4-minute, 31-second song. Play the entire song, add it to the playlist. It really helps out with the stream numbers and how we get our money from streams. I mean, we don't get a whole lot, but definitely every stream counts and every full stream counts. And it really helps us to get also added and noticed on playlists and things of that nature. So just something to keep of note. Also, if you love the content, if you love what you're seeing with the Maximum Sentence, if you love what you're seeing just on my channel, period, please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that bell notification so that when I go live, premiere a new video, or post a new video, you'll be one of the first ones to know. You don't have to be late to the party like I tend to be late to every party. But anyway, definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in. Also, if you have any questions, if you have any comments on specific lyrics that you want me to break down and I haven't broken down so far, and you want me to focus on this particular set of bars, please send me an email, info@BAMMLLC.net. Once again, that's info@BAMMLLC.net. Or you can leave a comment on this very YouTube post, and I will make sure that I will read your question or read your comment, no matter what it is, or focus on those particular bars that really resonate with you the most. And if you are not already following me on social media, you can hit me up on Facebook and Twitter. On both platforms, I am at AJ Throwback. And then if you are an Instagram and TikTok person, I'm on both of those platforms at a.j.throwback. So next week, right here on the Maximum Sentence, we're going to break down the second half of my latest single, Loner's Remorse. Until then, hope y'all enjoyed this particular episode of the Maximum Sentence where there's conviction behind the bars. And y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see y'all next week. All right? Y'all be easy. One love.
I done told myself some most comfortable results. Was homeless as a loner, now I'm living with remorse. Yeah. I was homeless as a loner, now I'm living with remorse.